This January 6th stuff is interesting. I like Tucker Carlson. I think he's a good person. I think he's got the right motivations. I'm just going on record with it. I think he's got the right motivations for doing what he's doing. They're trying to make it where you don't see what you're seeing. You shouldn't believe your eyes. Don't believe what you're hearing. The stuff that's coming out about this January 6th thing is highly disturbing. I mean, like a watershed event in the history of the United States. This may push us over the edge in terms of how we function with one another ever again. We may never recover from this, and it's not for the reasons you think. People think, oh, you insurrectionists went into the Capitol. You were a threat to democracy. You tried to overthrow the government. It's the worst thing since the Civil War. It's the most horrible violence since 9/11. 5 cops were murdered on January 6th. That's untrue. And they want to push a narrative. And that's the narrative we thought was going to be the thing that puts us all in the trains to the internment camps and ultimately to the gas chamber if you are a ultra MAGA conservative. What's a MAGA? If you're ultra MAGA, right-wing Trump conservative, as the Biden administration wants to label us, we thought that was going to be the issue. I don't think that ultimately is the issue. The issue is going to be they're going to keep gaslighting us and telling you that you're a fool and that you're deceived. So we hear that term tossed around a lot, gaslighting. And in fact, it was the most Googled term last year. People trying to find out, what does it mean? You're gaslighting me. We hear that all the time. If you're on Twitter, you hear it a lot. You're just gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation, and it is an abuse with the intent to control an outcome. So you create a scenario, you push it as the truth, and then you make somebody kind of feel crazy if they're not believing what you're telling them. Now, the outcome that the gaslighter may be trying to control could be another individual's behavior or their perception or their sense of reality. And the control aspect of it, it doesn't have to be malicious, but there is at its core a control element to gaslighting. They want to control you. So this actually, you get that. You go back to 1938, that term popped up. There was a British play called Gaslight, and about a husband that nearly drives his wife to insanity by doing some of these things. And if you wonder, like, how do I know if I'm being gaslit, okay? At the core of gaslighting is a state of questioning your reality. So you have some common signs that people may experience. So, for instance, your feelings are dismissed and met with a lack of sensitivity. You wives out there, you ex-wives, y'all might can feel some of that because guys are bad about that, right? You want to share your feelings. I saw a great thing the other day as a side note. Has nothing to do with gaslighting, but this guy was kind of giving relationship tips, and this girl was talking about, she's like, I'm ready to break up with my boyfriend right now because I asked him if he wanted ice cream, and he said, we'll go get you whatever you want. And he couldn't understand why she was so pissed off. The reason she was pissed off is because if a woman at 2:00 in the morning or whenever says, I really want ice cream, let's get ice cream, she's having a battle with the voice in her head because the voice in her head saying, you don't need ice cream. And she's wanting that ice cream. What she needs you to do, buddy, is to step up and take her side against the voice in her head. It'd be like, yes, let's get ice cream. Let's stand in solidarity, walk to the freezer together and go get ice cream. That's the deal, right, Kayla? That's what she wants. She wants to know that you are on her team and against the voices in her head. So a lot of times we as guys, we dismiss your feelings. Well, like right now, I'm making fun of it, but it's true. And it's just met with a lack of sensitivity. You could be gaslighting when like if you're constantly being told that your perception is wrong or you're lied to about things you have proof of. And just, oh, that's crazy. That didn't happen like that. And you're just like, well, I'm sitting here looking at it. Here's the evidence. You're like, nah, let me interpret that for you. Let me tell you what really happened. If you don't have space to speak during conflicts, boy, that's one thing. CJ gets on to me all the time. CJ's an outspoken person, And I sometimes take that for granted. But guess what? I'm an outspoken person too. So if we get into a little like this, and she's like, you never let me finish what I want to say. I mean, I don't come out and say, well, what you were saying is stupid. But that's what I want to say sometimes. But I have to be patient with that, because sometimes I'm like a bottom line kind of person. I'm an annoying soul in that if I get in a conflict, I'm like, listen, here's the resolution. Let's bottom line it. Let's get down to it. Okay, done. Let's resolve it quickly. And a lot of times when you do that, people don't feel like they have the space to speak during a conflict. Well, that's a form of gaslighting. Or when you're trying to address an issue and the subject is changed or avoided, and you just start rabbit trailing, and so the issue never gets dealt with. So ultimately what happens, you begin to question your reality. Now, this is what's going on right now when you see people like Chuck Schumer, senator from New York, who's going to stand there and tell you not to believe what it is that we're seeing. Now, they're showing us this video. Tucker Carlson got all the video. Kevin McCarthy released 41,000 hours of video from January 6th. We're seeing things that we had never seen before. Now we're seeing it. Now, they're saying that it's edited. Well, you can edit things out, but you can't edit things in. All right? Like if I say this is Officer Brian Sicknick, and he's supposedly just got murdered 10 minutes ago, but now he's inside the Capitol and he's waving people through and still doing his duties. Obviously, the guy's still alive. They didn't throw a green screen up there and superimpose Brian Sicknick's image in there, or have an actor. They didn't do that. There he is. You see him. When you see the QAnon shaman who's walking through and he's being escorted through the Capitol, and there's no less than 9 police officers who are actually kind of acting as tour guides for the guy, and you go up there and you hear him give this prayer over the police officers. Now, is he completely innocent? No, he did threaten Mike Pence. That is a crime, and for that there should be a penalty. But we got a problem, because that's not, they charged him with a whole bunch of different stuff. And now you see these things. I mean, this guy's walking through. He's not armed. He's not causing violence. These cops right there in the video, they don't feel threatened by him. But people like Chuck Schumer and other members of the media and the Twitter sphere want to tell you not to believe what you're seeing. So don't believe all that. It was really violent. It was really, really violent. And there were aspects of it that were. We've seen those images. Trust me, we've seen those images. And now what we're learning is that they actually did. You want to know who edited the footage? Was the January 6th committee. There was actually producers who were involved in editing that stuff before it was released. So they added in audio tracks. So there were screams, there was crying, there was, sirens, there were all these things, stuff that was not there in the original audio. We actually see now they added that stuff in, the audio stuff. But Tucker Carlson's not having his editors go in there and pull things out and clip it so that you see it in a manipulative way. He's showing it.